attitudes
in an
appropriate way. And furthermore, the attitudes are what leads to the behavior.
So it means
when you have knowledge of something, it will form through the three elements of attitudes that we talked about, right? The knowledge and also the feeling towards that particular thing, and further is going to cause action, which is the
we have
what we are
5
saying
scores
in terms of the action towards the behavior.
Now we want to determine where a quarter of those scores.
When knowledge increases, the assumption is that when knowledge increases, environmentally favorable attitudes that lead to reasonable environmental actions are developed. Is that making sense?
Something.
When knowledge increases, environmentally favorable attitudes that lead to responsible environmental actions are developed. There is a saying that
you want also
little knowledge is dangerous. Have you heard of that?
3/4 of those scores.
Little knowledge is dangerous. So that saying means in order for you to make a decision about something, to make your view about
by 4 equals
whatever, you make that
1 times 3 equals
in an unbalanced way, right? Mapeza ntwina kuti nkhani yosakuizwa bwinobwino ndipamene samalongolola kwambiri anangodziwa mbali imodzi koma iyi you can't even they just make assumptions based on just the little knowledge that they have. So the assumption with this theory is to say that when we are increasing the knowledge, a person is better informed, right? They understand all the concepts related to environmental issues. So unfortunately we don't have anywhere where that, but then this is a diagram, right, that illustrates that on one point we have knowledge, which translates to awareness or attitudes towards environmental issues, and furthermore, which responds or translates to an action based on the knowledge that has been provided. So the behavior model is all very simplistic when you're looking at it.
The other way of thinking about it,
I can just show you, right?
Remove the other quarter on the upper side.
This model there, that diagram, yes? Which is so it is a very simplistic diagram where it's just showing succession from one area to the another. So it's very simplistic, but however, it provides basis for the consideration of possible relationships existing between environmental knowledge, environmental awareness and attitudes, and how these can translate to action or inaction. This is a very important statement when it says that, yes, there is that relationship. The assumption with this theory is to say that when a person has been given increased knowledge, it is going to promote their awareness towards that particular subject and probably change their attitude in a positive way, right? And that is going to influence action. But then, it can also translate to inaction, right? You can have relevant knowledge concerning environmental issues, right? That can possibly change your perception towards environmental conservation, but you might not act because of other associating factors, which are what we are going to talk about in the several other theories that we are going to discuss. Any questions? Okay, so the second in the primitive models is the theory of environmentally responsible behavior. So we are saying that a person can gather knowledge, they have relevant knowledge, and possibly change their attitudes, but then they might choose not to act and therefore causing inaction. So the theory of environmentally responsible behavior, which is the ERB, the model argues that possessing an intent of acting is a major factor in environmentally responsible behavior. An intention to act. You can have knowledge and have good attitude towards something, but it doesn't necessarily translate to you acting. So the model of responsible environmentally behavior indicates that there are the following variables. Firstly, intention to act. Do you have an intent to act even although you have a good backing or positive attitudes towards that particular element through the knowledge that you have acquired. The locus of control, which is an internalized sense of personal control over events in one's life. So when you're looking at the locus of control, it will determine whether or not a person is going to act based on the influences that are around them. Right? So people most of the times will act towards something chifacha and family panga around it, the families, for example, your friends and so on. And attitudes and sense of personal responsibility. Do you feel like it's your responsibility or not? And knowledge as well. So it suggests that whether a person would adopt a behavior or not is an interaction of these factors. So the representation creates an interaction likely to develop of environmentally responsible behavior. So this model considers the major variables that play part in individual process of ERB adaptation. So according to the model, the internal control center has a very considerable impact on intention of acting. So the internal control center regulates, yes, you can have knowledge and you might have good intention, but then you decide based on that knowledge and action, and also the relationship that you have with the community that is around you, and also the peers, and also the regulation in related to environmental issues, that is going to determine whether or not you are going to act on environmental responsible behavior. Okay, so these are the first two of primitive models. So we are just going to stop there and continue the rest in the next lesson. So to sum it up, we have looked at the environmental attitudes, how individuals make the responsible decision towards environmental challenges because of the attitudes that they have. So attitudes are formed because of the knowledge that you have towards an animate or an inanimate object, the feelings that you have towards that, and also the likely action that you are going to have in respect to the attitudes that you have. So we have also highlighted the fact that communities have different attitudes depending on their cultural values that are present. And furthermore, we have also highlighted that there are various other factors that interplay when you're looking at attitudes, which are issues such as income. We are looking at age, the education factor, the community that you live in. So all of these, we can call them in social psychology, we call them socializing agents. Eh? So they will determine whether or not you are going to develop certain positive attitudes or negative attitudes towards something. So our communities, our peers, the information that we have, our age, socioeconomic status would determine whether or not people internalize the environmental related conservation issues and also the preservation mechanisms and respond to them accordingly. So that is the end of the lesson today. If you have any questions, ask so we can wrap up. Any questions? Yeah, so in most universities, participation is use of 20% of the overall.